The battle for Avdiivka was a significant clash between Russian and Ukrainian forces to control the city in Donetsk Oblast. While Russian forces had been trying to capture the town since the start of the invasion, the intense fighting began in early October 2023. This battle was one of the deadliest and most intense of the war, with Ukrainian officials reporting that Russian forces lost over 47,000 soldiers and 360 tanks during the month-long assault. As Kiev withdrew its troops from the heavily damaged city, the battle became known as the Second Bakhmut due to similarities in battlefield conditions and casualty rates compared to a previous battle. Some soldiers even considered it more challenging than the Battle of Bakhmut. The losses suffered by Russian forces in the battle exceeded those of the entire 10-year Soviet-Afghan War. From October 10, 2023 to February 17, 2024, Moscow's forces lost 47,186 troops, 364 tanks, and 748 armored fighting vehicles. Brigadier General Alexander Tarnavsky, commander of Ukraine's Tavria grouping of forces, reported that Russian forces also lost 248 artillery systems and 5 jets during the 4 months of bitter clashes around Avdiivka. While we cannot independently verify Ukraine's statistics, these figures give an idea of the high cost paid by Russia's military to seize Avdiivka. On Sunday, Moscow announced that its forces had fully liberated Avdiivka after months of intense fighting. The conflict began on October 10, 2023, when Russian forces launched an offensive to capture the city. By February 17, 2024, Ukrainian supply routes to the city were severely threatened, prompting Ukrainian forces to withdraw to prevent being surrounded and to protect their troops' lives and health. Ukraine's army chief, Colonel General Alexander Syrsky, stated on Saturday that Kiev's forces retreated from Avdiivka to avoid encirclement and safeguard their soldiers. He praised the soldiers for their efforts to defeat the Russian military units and inflict significant losses on the enemy in terms of personnel and equipment. The fighting around Avdiivka in Ukraine's annexed eastern Donetsk region has earned the city the nickname Meat Grinder, indicating the high casualty rates and significant resource consumption, including armored vehicles. Despite the defense efforts, Ukraine has suffered losses defending Avdiivka, a city that has been on the front lines in the Donetsk region for a decade. However, Moscow does not control all of the province's territory. During the initial weeks of the attack on Avdiivka, Russia lost a significant number of armored vehicles, leading Western analysts to speculate that Russian forces shifted to infantry attacks to preserve their armored resources. Meanwhile, the Kremlin has admitted that Russia is in a state of war, shifting from calling it a special military operation to now acknowledging it as a war. This change comes as President Vladimir Putin seeks to gain more domestic support for the invasion of Ukraine. Russia had previously used the term special military operation since the start of the invasion over 2 years ago, seemingly to downplay the severity of the conflict and its impact on daily life in Russia. However, the effects of the invasion have become increasingly noticeable across various aspects of Russian life, from Ukrainian drone attacks reaching as far as Moscow to widespread patriotic and militarized content and cultural activities. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov mentioned in an interview with the Russian newspaper Argumenty I Fakti that although Russia's legal definition of the conflict remains the same, in reality, it has transformed into a war, especially with the involvement of Western countries supporting Ukraine. Peskov attributed this shift to the West providing weaponry and funding to Ukraine to defend itself against Russian forces. As a result of the war declaration, nearly 20,000 people have been arrested for protesting against the conflict, with hundreds receiving lengthy prison sentences, according to state news agency RIA Novosti. According to the independent rights monitor OVD Info, Russian police have arrested people for various reasons, including holding up a copy of Leo Tolstoy's novel War and Peace or writing no to war on a ballot during last Sunday's presidential election. However, Russian media have avoided using the word war and preferred the term special military operation. When asked about these arrests, Peskov said it's not right to compare them because the situations are different. Although both Putin and Peskov have previously used the word war casually to describe the fighting, this is the first time the Kremlin has clearly stated that the special military operation, even if still legally in place, is actually a full-scale war. Analysts see this as a significant shift in what the Kremlin expects from Russian society. Peskov also mentioned that Russia will continue its efforts to seize land from Ukraine in 4 southern and eastern regions of the country, which Moscow claimed as its own in the autumn of 2022. However, it has not yet gained complete control over these areas. He emphasized that it's crucial for Russia to reclaim these territories, even though they are internationally recognized as part of Ukraine. Russia has laid claim to the Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions of Ukraine, naming them as Russian in its constitution, but it only controls parts of each. Peskov avoided directly addressing whether Zaporizhia was part of Russia, but he stated that Ukraine's continued claim to Crimea and the 4 regions means Russia cannot accept Ukraine as a neighbor. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.